Video is gonna be about the drama surrounding a motovlogger that people in the YouTube motovlogging community know as Yammie Noob. And at this point, I mean, I'm sure the drama has died down somewhat because it's a good bit of time after his accident. I think it was early April, and then it's about to be early June. But yeah, I mean, I'm so tired of reading fucking I hate the dude for this or I hate the dude for that and blah blah blah. And I'll go ahead and say that I watch the dude's shit all the time, and I'm sure a lot of the people who have negative things to say do as well. And they may not be 100% in support of what he did and how he handled the situation and its aftermath. But I think there are some factors to consider here before it's all let's fight. Let's start the witch hunt. I mean it's kind of fucked up to watch. So I'm sure you guys have seen the clip of his wreck, and it's a pretty fucking horrific thing to watch. I mean, his first one was the aftermath, at least, is pretty gnarly. I think a lot of us haven't even had anything close to that when we first started riding. And then this one that just happened in the beginning of April is fucked up in so many different ways. God, it's fucking horrific. I'd have nightmares after some shit like that. But anyway, yeah, so the guy made a mistake in judgment. I mean, that's as simple as it is. We've all done it, and in riding motorcycles, that's the thing about riding, is that a small mistake in judgment or anything like that can have such huge and horrific consequences. So yeah, I mean, he made a mistake in riding. Everyone, I think, who's acting like they haven't, or everyone said, that decision-making capacity, you don't have it. Stay off the fucking bike. And I'm not saying that, that's not something the guy needs to work on or think about, because, I mean, look at what happened to him. But the comments about, the guy needs to stay off a bike permanently, forever. I mean, who are you to say what he can and can't do, I mean, people learn from their mistakes, and if he does get back on a bike, what if those are the two worst, crashes of his entire riding, history. And, who's to say that's not going to happen, For people to stand by, pass judgment and say, oh, you do not belong on a bike, that's like, have those people who are saying that, have they never had in a situation that was shitty that they caused on a bike and they learned from? I mean, it's the same principle. And I think people are really getting up in arms about the fact that Yammie Noob hasn't made a public apology to the riding community, or at least made any comment about whether or not he's apologized to the Porsche owner. Obviously the dude has fucking apologized. I'm sure as soon as the dude was coherent and people filled him in on what happened and blah blah blah, I'm sure as soon as he was able to move, and I mean, looking from his injuries, he had a lot of injuries, so I'm sure it was a decent amount of time. I'm sure, I mean, look at the guy's video, seems like a nice enough guy, whatever. I'm sure from the point he was able to move under his own volition, I'm sure he contacted the dude and said, yo, I know that I caused this horrible damage to your vehicle and I totaled it. I'll do whatever I can to pay for everything. So for people to be so naive to think that, he didn't say it to us, that must mean that it wasn't said at all. I mean, come on, you guys. How old and naive do you have to be to think that just because a public update on what actually happened behind the scenes happened? Can you not connect the dots? But anyways, yeah, I mean, obviously he apologized just because it wasn't made public. I mean, that's his prerogative. And then people are getting up in arms about him not even asking, but just him making it known that he started a GoFundMe to help kind of pay for, obviously, a situation he caused. And people are getting really fucking up in arms about that. And that's another thing that I'm floored by that, because he's just informing us, or at least his audience and his subscribers, not even all of the motorcycling community, but that's a ripple effect that happened anyway. But he's saying, hey, this happened, it was my fault, blah blah blah. There's a GoFundMe. If you want to help me through this difficult situation, you can. And this is the way to do it. He doesn't say, hey guys, please do this. I mean, obviously it's a fuck ton of money, and I'm sure he's pretty anxious about being able to pay for all of it, but he never says, he never gives you an ultimatum about paying for it or not, or at least donating what you think could help. He just says, hey, if you want to help me out, this is how you can do it. He doesn't have a gun to anyone's head. So I feel like if any one of us were in a situation where we're facing some kind of incredible fee we had to pay, and we had as much notoriety as he has, we would do something similar. So the fallout about starting a GoFundMe, and all of that money is going to pay for this. All that money is going towards either the Porsche or the dude's fees, just because it's not explicitly said, oh, this is going to A, this is going to B. People are fucking tearing their hair out about that. If he chooses not to make shit public, he chooses not to make shit public. I mean, you guys have to realize, he's not obligated to disclose everything to you guys. And some people really, that rubs them the wrong way. And then I think the most irritating aspect about this, what people are getting most upset about, is the fact that his recent kind of post-wreck or post-crash update videos after his kind of hiatus are kind of joking. They're not being serious. They don't seem to be taking the situation seriously. And I feel like that reason is twofold. I feel like, A, it's because, as someone who has a fairly large audience, not me, but Yammie Noob, as, him being someone who has a very large audience on YouTube, you have to figure out a way to come at this that, I don't know, isn't going to destroy you. I don't know if that's the right wording, but you have to come at this in a way that, you can't let this situation just demolish you. And maybe if you were straightforward about it, people would have been more understanding. Sure, I'm sure that stands to reason. But I feel like one of the reasons why he's being so flippant about the whole thing is because trolls will come out of the woodwork, and they will, they'll have a fucking field day or something like this. So I feel like part of his tone and part of the reason why he's being so silly about the whole thing is just because I'm going to say all the shitty comments I can think to say about myself. So when other people do it, it's kind of like, oh, yeah, that's already been said by me. So that would be the first part of it. And then the second part of it would be, this is how he is choosing to deal with the situation publicly. Who's to say that's really... who's to say that's how he's dealing with it off camera, so to speak? But it's his prerogative. He has that option as a creator to say, how do I want to deal with this situation to people that actually care enough to watch? So it seems like he's playing the situation close to his chest. And I don't know, maybe if it were you'd do it a little bit differently. That's neither here nor there, but whatever, it doesn't mean, just because you would do it differently doesn't mean that you're a better person than him. You don't really know how he's handling the situation off camera, but at the same time, some people can't look past that, whatever. And I'm sure by now you've inferred that I'm a fan of Yammie Noob. I'm a fan of his content. And as a fan, I'm not denying that he needs to rethink and reevaluate how he rides on the street. All the street Rossi stuff, I mean, I'm all for good fun on the street, but if you really want to go balls to the wall, take it to the track, you know? The safest environment you can do that shit in. But I'm sure that a lot of people are just coming down so hard on the guy. I mean, he made a mistake. He made a mistake in judgment. It won't happen again. I'm sure after this, he'll really look for his, aggressive writing to be track only. I'm sure he's learned his lesson by now. As a fan of his content, I want to see more from him as a content creator, because he is. If you look at the motovlogging community, some of his stuff is some of the most. I mean, it's hysterical. His list videos and all of the derivative stuff that he creates from that list type of content. It's hysterical. And as a fan of his, I want to see more of that type of content. So, I mean, I'm not one of the fans that says, "Oh, you handled this one situation, your writing experience the wrong way. I'm done." I mean, that's how some people handle it. That's how others handle it. Whatever. I can only speak for myself, but I would like to see more of his content. And he's definitely learned from the situation. And people just need to calm down a bit. They're coming down so hard on the guy. It's fucked up. You go to his channel and then you see some of his videos, and then in the suggested or related links on the side, you see why Yammie Noob is a fuck up, why Yammie Noob is a dickhead, blah, blah, blah. And yeah, I mean, maybe his public personality is, assholey, asshole by nature, but to a degree. But I also think that's also why his content is so fucking funny, is because he's very, very sarcastic and caustic with his humor and his perspective. That's what makes him funny. So, I mean, maybe he didn't want to tamper with that. Maybe it has nothing to do with that. I don't know. I can't read minds. But when closing, I just wanted to say, hope the guy learns from his mistakes. Hope he heals well and continues to make funny content.